Okay. Okay, cool. Go ahead and be live there. Awesome. Okay. We are live. Let's see if we can pull up the chat here. Okay. And we'll see if we can get it going here in the live stream here. Okay, cool. Marcel says, what's up? Good to see you, Marcel. Happy to have you here with me. Okay, so Nicholas Nick says, yo, Nick, how's it going, man? Good to see you guys tuning in. So we are doing our second stream for the day. Super excited to be here. Earlier we watched USD CPI. Wasn't a huge move, but we do have more news to come here. We also had a lot of movement on the Euro pairs, which I want to get into. We have about 30 minutes. We're going to stick around before the news release. Of course, I've got my I've got a bunch of tabs open. Let me clear some of those up. But we have FOMC meeting minutes coming up in about 30 minutes here, 2 p.m. You can see it's 1:30 p.m. currently right now as we start up the stream. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Caddy. Good to see you guys. Welcome to the stream. Happy to see everybody in here. What we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to do about 30 minutes of pre-news release analysis. We're going to take a look at the markets. We're going to get ready. We're going to look for opportunities so that when the release comes, we can be ready and we can trade it, right? We want to have a good idea of what the market, the sentiment of the market is before the news release. And then that way, when the news releases, we can trade from there. So good afternoon, everybody. It is afternoon for me. I'm sure it's nighttime for a lot of you guys all over the world. Welcome and happy to have you here. Look at all these nice people tuning in and saying hello. Good to see everybody here. Igor Hasnul. Hi, Gary. Good to see you, man. Caden, Leslie, all of you super nice people. Welcome to the stream. Happy to have you here. We got 32 people in here. I imagine this news release is going to be an interesting one. So I definitely recommend if you are tuning in, get comfortable, find a way to get comfortable. Like I said, get a drink or something. I've got my water here so that I don't run out of speed. This is going to be my second stream of the day. So like I said last time, I'm making sure I keep my water with me just because it can get a little bit straining on your voice to talk. Would you imagine that for a full, couple hours a day? But I don't mind. I'm here for you guys, and I'm glad that you're tuning into the stream. Happy to have you with me. Guys, if you're new to the stream, huge favor, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button on the channel. Help me to grow. We're really trying to grow a community here on YouTube. We do all sorts of streams, videos. There's a free course that we're in the process of uploading right now. So if any of that content sounds helpful to you, if you would like to support the channel and become a member of our YouTube family here, do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button and hit the like on this video. Why not? That shows me and others that you're enjoying the content. Good to see you guys all here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the market. We're going to do some analysis before the news. We're going to watch the news release itself, and then we're going to go from there, see what we have after the fact. Good to see you, Zaman. Zaman, I'm always terrible with names. You guys know this. AN says GBP JPY. We can take a look at that. That's a good one to start with. GBP JPY, guys. Did we get any Brexit news? Does anybody know if we saw anything with Brexit happen? That could be good information to check in on. I know that Lee earlier had mentioned that there's a good chance we get some sort of Brexit update or content today. So that's weird. I'm not sure why that chart is being funky like that. There it is. GBP USD. Sure, we can take a look at those as well. Guys, like I said, we're going to do our analysis before the news. We're going to take a look at the market, see if we have any levels, and we're going to find some potential trades. We're going to look around to see if we have some trade setups that might give you an opportunity to potentially make some money in the market today. XAU USD, we can take a look at that also, Leslie, no problem. We're going to start here, like I said, with GBP JPY, and what we're going to do here is we're going to just take a general approach to the market. We're going to stick to maybe the higher time frames for now, because we want to see, because FOMC news, guys, can really move. So there's the possibility that we do get a big jump or jump down, right? So we want to look for levels. We want to know what we can play when that news release actually drops. So here we are. We're taking a look at GBP JPY, guys. guys, this is forming some lower highs here. And sure enough, when price wicked up to this level, it found resistance once more. Garrett says GBP, NZD, happy to do that. We'll also take GBP Aussie. Lots of pound currency pairs to take a look at, of course. FOMC is going to impact the most. It's going to impact the US dollar. But guys, usually what happens with big US dollar news is it impacts the entire world. So with that said, we want to be ready for lots of different currency pairs, right? Because we could get a lot of movement. But like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to look for opportunities, potential trade setups that we could take advantage of. Okay, so GBP, JPY, look at this level here, guys. This level seems pretty good to me. If we can get a move up to that trend line, that could be an opportunity to go short in favor of this downtrend. But let me say, guys, be careful here because we don't want to trade right before news, especially if you're trading intraday. You don't want to just jump into a big position right before news because that can be very dangerous, right? Our goal here is to look for levels so that when price starts to move due to FOMC news, we can be ready and we can be waiting to potentially set up some good probability entries. So with that said, if FOMC news causes a big spike to the upside, we could find potential resistance up in this area, especially if we get a big spike, we could find extra resistance. You know, you never know how other currency pairs are going to react because US dollar news can be globally impactful, right? Even though this doesn't have USD in it, it can actually move GBP, JPY. It can move all currency pairs. Just depends how big the news release actually is. So with that said, we have some levels here in GBP, JPY that could be interesting to watch. Okay. So with that said, that's GBP, JPY. Where could we see price falling if we do get some sort of confirmed break? Of course, we have support down here to the south, and we could see if we get that break too. If that moves, right, we could see a break off of that structure, maybe even test these new lows here, right, heading down potentially to this longer term level of support where price may be able to find a bounce there if we can get a continuation on the sell side. Hopefully that makes sense on GBP, JPY. What I'm going to do, guys, is as I'm going through, we have a lot of stuff we're going to look at before the news. So do me a huge favor. If this makes sense, put yes in the chat or Y in the chat if that is clear so that we can move on to the next currency pair. That lets me know that we're good to go and we can continue on. If it does not make sense, do me a huge favor and put no or in the chat, and I will go ahead and try and make sure that everything makes sense. We have resistance here on GBP, JPY. We're forming lower highs, and there's the potential for price to move down to this longer term support. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, cool. We got a lot of yeses. That means that we can move on. Good stuff. Welcome to everybody who's in the chat. Good to see you. Santar, Leslie, Gilberto, Mehdi, Mary Catherine, Gary, all of you guys are welcome. Hasnul, good to see you. Jackson, awesome. Okay, we're going to take a look at XAU USD, Jackson. No problem at all. This makes sense and we're good to go. Awesome. Sounds good. Let's move on. Guys, we have FOMC news coming out in about 22 minutes. So what we're doing, just in case you're just tuning into the stream, also good to see you, CJ. If you're just tuning into the stream, we are doing some pre-news analysis to see what we have in store potentially for the news. We want to identify some levels so that when price starts to move, we're ready, right? We don't want to be doing our analysis on the news release. We want to be doing our analysis prior to it. Okay, so very good chance that what we see here on XAU USD, and remember we are trading before news, so be careful, right? You don't want to open new positions, but we are traveling in price right now before the news actually releases. So with that said, XAU USD, we have the potential here to come up and kiss this level of resistance here, right? You have that trend line resistance up here, and we have bounced nicely off of that support level. So it's possible that we get some sort of resistance come into play if we can come up to that red line here. So with that said, we're going to be watching this level. I think that that could be hit. We talked about that last stream and the stream before that, right? Lots of prior talk about XAU USD moving to the upside, coming up to test this level of resistance. So with that said, coming into news here, I think it's possible that we could see a break. We don't know which way the news is going to go, right? We don't have the luxury of knowing which direction price is going to go prior to the release. So what we can do, however, though, is we can look for levels. And here we're looking at XAU USD. I think that if we get a bearish move on the dollar, we could get a break of that structure, right? That news could be the catalyst that we need to break this resistance zone. Now that could indicate that we could see a break, retest, and go further on XAU USD, continuing that longer term uptrend, right? We've had a pullback and it's possible that this is the scenario. However, I wouldn't be convinced until we see that necessary break, right? We need to see that break and close above resistance in order for it to be confirmed. With that, on the downside, we have a similar story. If we can get a break beneath, we could trade the momentum and join in. You know, we're forming a series of lower highs. It's possible we're going to be watching price to see if there's a lower high in store here next. That's something to watch. We'll check in on XAUUSD when the release actually happens. Good to see everybody in the stream. Guys, if you're new to the channel, do me a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button. Help us grow. We're trying to head to 1,000 subs. You know, we hit 500 like last week, and we're already up 140 from there, something like that. And it's just been a phenomenal growth. And, you know, having you guys join has been really cool. So thanks so much for your support. And I hope something here is helping you. We're gonna try and, like I said, we're gonna speedy go through different currency pairs, take a look and see if we can set up something for us to be ready for the news to come out. Okay. So with that said, let's move on. Do you guys have charts you'd like me to look at? I see New Zealand dollar by Nicholas Gunter. We're going to take a look at that. No problem. Leslie says, what do you think of the dollar lately? Strong or weak? Well, you can see right here on compared to gold, it's looking pretty weak. But what we're going to do is we're going to continue to analyze that. We're going to see what does the dollar look like going into this news that we could potentially profit from, right? We want to identify levels. We want to be ready for that news so that we can set up for some higher probability setups once the news releases. You know, we may even be able to predict potentially somewhat of where the market may be headed on this actual news release itself. Here we are on New Zealand dollar. We're trading sideways, right? We're in a range on this currency pair. This currency pair has been a great opportunity to buy and sell in this consolidation. You can see price acting as, it's got a floor, it's got a ceiling, right? And what do we do when... what do we do when we have consolidation? When price is moving back and forth, we've talked about it again and again on the stream, we tend to try and stick with what the market's showing us. The market is showing us back and forth, then guess what? We're going to try and trade back and forth. We have potential here for this buy support to hold, and we could head up to this resistance point up here to the north, right? So if price were able to get up there, we may find resistance up there. So we want to be ready for all scenarios, especially going into this news, because we can get some huge movements on FOMC. One warning that I will say to you guys before we go any further is that a lot of times on the actual release, we'll get a huge spike and reversal immediately after. So like I said, you know, earlier in the CPI release, the stream from this morning, we had a big fake out to the downside, okay? So we had price jump up and immediately fade on Euro USD, and on the contrary, we had it move down and back up on USD CAD. So we want to really be ready for a fake out, right? That's why I don't want to jump in on the release, in my opinion, because that's very dangerous, very spready. Better just to wait and look for some potential setups after that. And that's why we're doing it ahead of time so that we can look for levels to watch. Okay. So with that said, on New Zealand dollar, we also have some longer term potential support if we can break structure here, right? If dollar news comes out and it's bullish, pushing New Zealand dollar down, right? Because the New Zealand dollar would go down relative to the strengthening dollar, we could see support on this longer term level down south here, right? So if price bounces down, we could find support there off of those lows. These are levels that we're looking for, high probability setups for potential post-news movements. Okay, Euro dollar, we can take a look at. Aussie Canadian, we can take a look at as well. Mary Catherine asks, what's a currency pair? I actually just put up a video about that. You can go check that out. It is one of the course material on our new free course that I just put up on the YouTube channel. So go check that out if you're a brand new trader. Maybe not now, but after the stream, you could go check out the Forex course that I published for free on YouTube. I'm still in the process of publishing it. Fuzzy, what was yours? Sorry, Aussie Canadian. Yeah, we'll take a look at Aussie Canadian, and then we'll take a look at Euro USD and USD JPY. Sounds good, guys. Let's move on here. Aussie Canadian, let's do that one quickly. Okay, so we're coming into some resistance here longer term, right? We talked about this on one of the previous streams. We're coming into this similar level that has been tested multiple times before. 1, 2, 3, and here we are on a 4th time testing this level of resistance on the daily chart. Mohammed says EU, we'll get there, don't worry. Be patient with me, guys, and I'll get to as many charts as I possibly can. Okay, so here we are. We're looking at this longer-term resistance. Now, what is this in the context of? Remember, we want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on the overall movements of the market. We have a downtrend forming here on the daily, right? Lots of sell pressure. Now, if this breaks, of course, it could be bullish, right? But we don't want to trade something until it shows us some signs of weakness or strength, okay? So we have this level of resistance coming into play, right? This level of resistance, to me, signs potential bearishness, potential resistance. You can see Aussie moving up really strong, and all the all the Aussie pairs have been moving like crazy. But you know, there's a point where it comes into strong resistance, and you'll have sellers who are interested in picking up big positions there. So hopefully that makes sense there. Do you guys see that on Aussie Canadian? Am I cool to move on from there? Put a Y in the chat for yes or an in the chat for no. Just want to make sure that we're clear before we move on. Do you see this level of resistance? Do you see why we're saying that sellers are still in control and we are going to sell until we see a break of that structure? Hopefully that makes sense. Garrett says yes. CJ says yes. Can you check Euro Aussie also, please? We're going to do as many as we possibly can, guys. We got 15 minutes before the release, so stay tuned. Also, we've got our countdown going on here. You can see I've got my clock pulled up, 1:45. We've got 15 minutes until the news release. Fuzzy says Aussie, New Zealand. I'm not sure if you said it earlier. There's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. So if I missed your thing, I'm sorry. We're going to get to as many as I can, like I said. Euro USD is next. Looks like you guys are getting it, so let's move on. Euro USD, okay? We've done Euro USD. We did it earlier today, but look at how earlier we had a move to the downside on some EU news before moving back up. You can see price kind of faked out to the downside before finding some sort of support. Now, let me tell you why that probably happened, guys. And I'm going to ask for you to confirm that you understand this in a second, okay? We had price move to the downside and come right back up. Let me tell you why I think that is. It's because we have news coming on Euro USD. We had USD CPI news this morning, and here we are. We're back up on price. Price went down and came right back up. Let me tell you why I think that is, and I want to see if you understand why. Okay, we have news coming next, right? Bigger news, potentially going to move the market a lot more. So what the price likely did is price faked out to the downside, and people said, "Let me just get this money out of the market," and pushed it right back up. Do you guys understand that concept? That concept of the market tends to kind of slow down or correct before news, and then after news it explodes in volatility one way or the other. Does that make sense on consolidation and prior movements to the news? Fuzzy says, which pairs will be affected by news today? USD news usually impacts, especially the big news, will impact the entire world. All currencies will be impacted to some extent. So we're going to be watching to see all sorts of stuff. Specifically, though, the biggest movers are going to be the dollar pairs, of course. So with that said, on Euro USD, let me talk to you guys about what we potentially will have. We talked about this level earlier in the day when we did our first stream on USD CPI news, but we could see price head up to this level where we might find some resistance. Now, this level of resistance on the daily chart has been holding for quite some time. It's been pushing price down. And so if we get a move up to that level, it's quite possible that we get some sort of resistance, especially if we can line it up with something like this level. You see this level to the left showed signs of bearish reaction before. Steady Styles says XAU USD. We already took a look at gold. You can back up in the stream if you'd like to take a look at gold. Yeah, so as CJ said, we did that first. Euro Aussie. Guys, I'm trying to get to as many as I can, but don't worry, I will get as many as I can before the stream. Just checking in our time, we've got about 12 minutes before the release. Okay, so with that said, on Euro USD, I think that if we do get some sort of bearish reaction, we'll see the euro go up relative to the dollar, which could find some sort of resistance if we do get up to this trend line. So that's a level. Now, if we get the other side, if we get a movement to the downside, we want to be watching this daily level, which has clearly showed signs of strong support for buyers. Okay, so we want to be ready for both scenarios. So if price can move to one or the other, that may be a good opportunity to get long or get short on maybe like a retest or something, right? That would make sense. Do you guys see that on Euro USD? Does that make sense? These two main levels. We don't really want to watch anything else because you never know how far price can move, right? So does that make sense on Euro USD? Are we good to move on from here? Okay, and Eddie says we're good. Cool. All right. So with that said, let's see. We're going to quickly take a look at USD JPY. Eamon will take a look at Pound Aussie as well, Euro Aussie as well. So we're going to take a look at those currency pairs next. What do I mean by retest? Okay, so we just left this level, so it's possible that we're going to retest. The market's going to try and hit those lows again. It's possible if we get that movement that we could see another buy-in by the people who are going long, right? So that's what I mean by retest. You know, a retest of the level we just left. Okay. Yeah, Emu, I'm doing a second stream for the day. We talked about it in the last one. We just said, let's do one for FOMC. So we're going to do that. With that said, let's quickly do our analysis on USD JPY, guys. Let's back it up here. We did get a rejection off of this general level here. You can see this trend line that we've been talking about for quite some time finally held. We got some sell resistance up at that point. So coming into USD news, we could find ourselves headed back potentially if we get a bearish move down to this level of support. And of course, we may see the interesting scenario of this level being broken to the upside. If we get a break to the upside, guys, we could see a retest and go long for a longer term push upwards on dollar yen if it were to break this high level of resistance up here. Hopefully that makes sense. Keeping it simple on USD JPY. Guys, remember when we're going into news, we want to identify high levels of probability for certain levels in the market, right? With USD JPY, we have this long-term sell trend pressure here holding up here. But if we get some sort of big move from news, we could see that level get broken and we could see price continue to the upside. We're just going to have to watch and see. You can see on the daily, we've had 3 days prior to the news release on the downside. So it'll be interesting to see what we get there. Okay, let's move on here and let's clear our chart here. We're going to take a quick look. I believe what was the other one we wanted to look at? GBP Aussie. Let's do GBP Aussie really quick. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I know it's a lot of stuff. We're trying to fit in a lot of charting before the news. And once the news comes out, we want to be ready. So that's why we're doing our charting prior, okay? Here we are. We're taking a look at Pound Aussie. We have this level in play. You can see this being resistance. Very, very interesting stuff, guys, on Pound Aussie, and I'll tell you why. We have this level of support, we have this level of resistance. You can see it's forming a form of wedge, right? You can see the descending price here. It's traveling between those two levels, and what we're gonna see, what we're likely gonna see is as we consolidate here, if we get a break to the upside, a retest and go, that could be a great opportunity. In fact, we could also see some sort of sell pressure come into the market, break that level, and we'll see where we go from there. But these are two potential scenarios where we could trade either direction. If we get beneath, if we head back up, we could see a retest and go down, and same thing on the long side. We want to keep it simple, guys. We want to wait for the market to break and show some signs of strength in one direction or the other, and then we can trade the response, okay? Connor says the S&P 500. You know what? We're going to do that because it is American news and it will impact the stock market. We'll see some interesting stuff going on there as well. So in fact, what we're going to do right now is we're going to skip ahead and take a look at Euro Aussie, and then we're going to look at Euro New Zealand, and then we're going to look at the S&P, and that should bring us right up to the news release where we'll watch live and see what happens there. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into the stream, by the way. Good to see so many people tuning in. If you are new to my stream, if you're new to my channel, I do these all the time. I'm making content all the time. I've got a free course that I'm putting up currently. So if any of that stuff would be beneficial to you, all I ask, like the video and also subscribe to the channel. That would really help me, and it will show me that people are enjoying it, and I'll continue to create content for everybody. Okay, so with that said, on Euro Aussie, let's identify this level of support. You can see we're currently testing the lows here. Now this is huge because we are probably going to see a bounce first, unless we get some sort of big movement on the news, right? So with that said, it's more likely at a level of support like this that we do get some sort of a bounce, okay? But if we do get a break, we could see a retest and go short. Of course, we want to trade what the market decides to do. So my bias initially is going to be long off of a support zone because that's what we do, right? We stick to what the market is telling us. The market is telling us this is a buy zone, then we're going to buy here. We're not going to sell here, right? You could, if you trade the breakout, that's another story. But until that breakout occurs, we are biased long. At least I am. Ultimately, all your decisions are up to you, but this is what I see, okay? We also have this level of resistance on the trend line that we may see a retest of in the coming days or weeks, okay? Moving on from Euro Aussie, I know I'm going quick, guys, but we got about 6 minutes here. Let's quickly check in on the clock to see, just get an idea of FOMC coming in about 6 minutes there. Let's take a look at Euro New Zealand. We talked about this one earlier. Very simple. We broke structure coming into the week here. We had a move and broke above this level of resistance, okay? Hassan says, can you do Euro Yen? Yes. So you'll give your entries on your VIP group? Yes, the VIP group for entries will be sent for members. By the way, guys, just a heads up, if you are interested in becoming a member, you can do two things. I'm just gonna make this quick. You can send me a message on Telegram or Instagram at TraderNick135. Okay, you can get me, you can contact me there. We can talk about VIP group. You can also click the link that's in this bio of the description here. It's TraderNickFX.com if you're interested in becoming a member, following my trading live. You know, I don't release signals for free, but if you're interested in doing that, that is something you can join. You also get access to our VIP membership group where we have tons of super nice people working together. Guys, we've got about 5 minutes. Let's speed this up just so we can get back on the charts. So with that said, we had 2 green candles here, or 2 candles close above this level of resistance, which prompted the market to follow through a little bit on that action. You can see 1 close above and 2 closes above, and then we had a move to the upside. You can see we never had a close above all across this trend line until this point. And once it happened, we had a follow through. So we could see, like I said, some sort of a retest here on Euro New Zealand down to this level of resistance, which now may act as support where we could find some sort of buy pressure. That's what I see there. We're also currently traveling right now at a level of resistance here. So you can see price already reacting to that level. We called out that this morning, and sure enough, we did get a retest there, or a retracement already from that level. So with that said, Hassan says, how many trades do you send a day on average in your VIP group? Usually 1 to 5 on a busy day. So, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip to just quickly take a look at the ES minis, just so we get a heads up before this happens. Let's quickly look at the weekly just to see where we're at. We're looking like we may be headed to test the previous high. Okay, that's possible that we do get some sort of a push to the upside. We're gonna have to see what's gonna happen here on the news release, guys, to see. But if it is something that's bullish for the overall stock market, we could be headed to test those highs, and from there we'll have to reevaluate things. So interesting that we pulled up ES1. We're taking a look at the E-minis. I think that's a heavy resistance point. Of course, nobody wants to buy the highs usually, so we could see some volatility there, of course. Percentage successful. Hey guys, if you're interested in the VIP group, let's stick to the topic for the time being. Like I said, if you want to get into contact me, Telegram, Instagram, okay? Send me a message at TraderNick135. I'm happy to tell you all about the membership, give you details if you're interested in doing that. We've got news coming out in 3 minutes, guys. Let's pull up our clock. 3 minutes here before the news releases. Like I said, if you're interested in joining the VIP group, you'll get access to all my trading signals live. You'll get access to my educational program. All of that stuff is available to VIP members. So if that's something of interest to you, like I said, hit me up in Telegram here or on Instagram. We can talk about you becoming a member and trading alongside me and following my stuff live. Okay, that's how you can do that. So, okay, we are about to head into the news here. We'll see. Let's quickly, just before the news drops, we'll take a look at Euro Yen because I know that was one that was requested. Thank you guys for being patient. You can see we did get a rejection off of this level. Very possible that if we do see further downside off of this news-related stuff, we could find ourselves headed down to test this level of support. Of course, if we get a break there, the next stop may be, down to this long-term low here at the 122 area. Okay. So that is kind of a longer term outlook on Euro Yen. We're headed potentially to test this level if we get a bearish break. If we get a bullish break, of course, we could trade the retest of a breakout here, right? Breakout, retest, go. That's a simple setup that we could be doing. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the stream. Very happy to have you guys here. I hope you have gotten something out of the pre-market here, or the pre-news release here. And with that said, it looks like we're just over about a minute here before the actual release. And like I said, any trades that I do take will be alerted to VIP members. And so if you're interested in trading with me, if you like my style, if that's something that sounds beneficial to you, don't waste your money just losing it in the market. Find education programs that you actually appreciate, whether it's me or somebody else. Find somebody genuine that you think is going to help you and follow them because they can help you along the way. Better just to do that than to lose your money by yourself all the time in the market. It's very easy to do. Like I said, just click the link in the bio to sign up and you become a VIP members, part of the members group in the service I offer. So with that said, guys, we're about to head into the news here. Let's pull up USD. Let's watch USD Canadian. That's my favorite currency pair to watch on news releases just because it tends to have a lot of volatility. It tends to act interesting. Guys, look at this. Prior to the release, and let's make sure we've got about 40 seconds until the news releases. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Just a little interesting point here. Prior to FOMC, look how price is bearishly pulling back. You can see all the buyers from earlier are taking their profits. And in fact, some sellers are stepping in prior to the release. So should be interesting to see. We've got about 20 seconds, guys, before the release. CJ says it's a pretty high success rate. Thanks, man. Glad to hear that you're sticking out for me. Okay, 10 seconds, guys. Let's see what we get. Gonna drop it down to the 5 minutes, see what we get here. 4 seconds. We'll see the FOMC right now. Nothing yet. Sometimes it takes a second. We'll have to watch. And like I said, sometimes you get a much bigger reaction than others, so we're gonna have to watch and see. And CJ says proper risk management. Absolutely. That's what's key. That's what makes any successful strategy worthwhile. Okay, we're not seeing anything yet. Let's be careful here, though, because we don't want to miss it. Sometimes with FOMC meetings or press conferences, it can be a few minutes before something is said that causes volatility. So what we're going to do here, guys, is we're going to stick to watching. We're going to watch the charts. We're going to stick here. You can see some sort of bullish movement here, but nothing huge yet, okay? Should be interesting to see. Like I said, it's not one of those things where there's numbers that come out. Typically, when you have something numbers related, like NFP, it will be an immediate reaction, right? The market will immediately have that. Right now, what we're waiting for is potentially someone to say something that causes volatility in the FOMC meeting. I'm sure many of you guys have it pulled up on your screen. You're watching it. I don't really need to see it personally. I just wait for the volatility because I rely mostly on price, okay? So with that said, not seeing anything too big yet. Let's make sure Euro USD, see if any movement there. Nothing yet. USD JPY. We did get a little bit of a spike, but this is the 5-minute chart. So if we see it, it's going to be huge. So we'll have to be watching. Like I said, we'll stick around. We're going to take a look at the charts. We're going to find out if anything is happening. And what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to look. If we do get volatility, we're going to look for some opportunities. Hey, Eric, good to see you. Happy to have you on the stream. We're taking a look at the FOMC news-related movements. We're not seeing anything too huge yet, but let's make sure that... So the ECB president and vice president is speaking. More hawkish expected for good. Scheduled 8 times a year, about 45 minutes after the minimum bit rate. The press conference is about an hour long and has 2 parts. So we may see something in the next few minutes. Usually what I've seen before is there's a big movement sometime in the first maybe 10, 20 minutes. So we'll be watching and we'll continue our analysis here. If you guys have charts you'd like me to look at, as always, I will do that gladly and we'll see if we get anything popping up on the chart. We'll keep an eye on USD pairs. Let's quickly do AUD USD. I know that was a request from earlier, and let's bring it onto the 1 day. Okay, so this level of resistance may actually come into play. Like I said, we want to be ready for any potential moves, no matter how big or small. We want to look for setups. And okay, Jerry says in GBP New Zealand. Let's do that. Sorry I missed yours earlier. Just a lot of stuff going on. GBP dollar we already took a look at, Nicholas, but don't worry. You can just scroll back and find it. It shouldn't be too far back. Okay, so on AUD USD, you can see on the daily chart here, we have a level of resistance. You can also see it clearly on the 4-hour. This level of resistance may seem to hold. You can already see we've got a red candle forming here. So possible that we get some sort of bearish retracement here to the downside off of this resistance zone, right? What we like to do, guys, what I always like to say is we like to trade what the market is showing us, so it makes sense there, hopefully. Let's see. Do you guys understand the concept when I say, trading what the market shows us rather than trying to do something against the market? Do you understand that concept? If we're trading sideways, we want to trade sideways mostly. We don't want to be trading against the trend or with the trend, right? We just want to be sticking to what the market is showing us. Do you guys understand that? Put Y for yes or N for no on the concept of trading the condition of the current market. Let's see if we got anything updated on ECB. I'm sorry, why am I saying ECB? I mean FOMC. I'm sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so usually this is the one that has to do with interest rates, which is one of the most dominant forces in the market, okay? Okay, and good. We see a lot of yeses. You guys are getting that concept. Guys, just so you know, the FOMC, for those of you who don't know, it basically usually has something to do with interest rates, which is the driving force in the currency market, because a lot of banks and a lot of big money is moving their money into and out of currencies, and the interest rate has a huge factor on where people park their money. So that's why usually when you get an FOMC meeting, if they release something or information about an interest rate change, it can be a huge catastrophic move one way or the other. So like I said, we don't know exactly when that news is going to drop, but we're going to stick here and we're going to wait it out and we're going to look for potential setups here. We're going to watch the market. Okay, cool. You guys are getting that concept on adapting or trading the way the market is showing us, right? So we have this sideways movement. We're going to trade sideways until that changes, keeping it simple, right? This is a level of resistance. People say, oh, don't try and buy low, sell high. You'll never pick it. Well, listen, you might not get the perfect entry, but you can trade the concept of the market, right? We have levels of resistance in play that we can actually take advantage of because price has been reacting bearishly there and statistically probably will, fall again. We don't know it. We can't guarantee it, but we can stack probabilities in our favor to create the most profitable chance of us making money, right? Or probable chance of us making a profit. So we're already seeing some sort of bearish reaction here on Aussie dollar. Let's also take a look at Aussie yen on the concept of Aussie stuff. You can see if we drop it down to maybe the 1 hour might even be best. You can see we had a period of 3 lower highs form, right? We didn't quite break that high on this movement, and we're still testing this level, of course. New Zealand dollar, guys, I'll get to that, don't worry. Landon and Indala, I'm terrible with names, so I'm sorry if I mispronounce something. Okay, so on Aussie yen, you can see we formed 3 lower highs. That's a potential signal that we may see some sort of bearish action. Of course, if we start to see a break, if we see a descent, we could at least test this level of support, which is going to be this lower part of the wedge, where we could potentially find some sort of support before breaking and going lower. If that scenario sets up, that could be a great opportunity. Of course, VIP members will be alerted of any trades that I do enter. So please, for those of you guys who are VIP members, make sure you go ahead and do that. Guys, we've already gone through Euro USD for those of you guys asking for that. So just make sure that you are, if you missed something, you can just go back and see if we did it. Okay, so no news just yet. We haven't seen anything huge start moving yet. So we're still waiting patiently. But that's Aussie yen. Let's see if we had another one that seems to be popular was New Zealand dollar. GBP JPY, let's do that. No problem. We're going to quickly, though, we're going to start with New Zealand dollar. We already talked about this, but let's make sure that we're all set here for whatever happens next. So New Zealand dollar, we actually had an interesting setup, okay? We had resistance get broken here on New Zealand dollar, which is actually showing potential signs of bullishness on the currency pair, right? We had bearishness on this level, and that level got broken. You can see sellers tried to take advantage, tried to move it down, and it didn't quite work out. So here we are. We see price moving higher, possible that we may come up to at least test this structure to the left, right? So in the coming hours, maybe days, we could see this level come into play, which is a heavy resistance level for sellers. If that gets broken, of course, we have a level higher up here, which is, of course, a little bit more significant. Why? Because if you back up, here it is over here too, right? Those levels typically repeat themselves. These are levels of resistance that we may be able to play with New Zealand dollar. We have a level here of resistance. We have a level further up here of resistance, right? We want to be ready to look for potential movements that could happen in the market. Nick, I just realized you look like the male lead in The Good Doctor. I have not seen that show, but now I'm going to have to go look just because you said that. Aussie Swiss, that we can do Aussie Swiss, no problem. We're going to do GBP JPY. Don't worry, Hassan, we'll get there. Okay, and like I said, guys, if I do take any any trades, VIP members will be alerted of my entries and exits, and of course, managing the trade from there. By the way, if you are interested in becoming a VIP member, what you'll get is you'll get education, you'll get mentorship, you'll get my signals live with educational content alongside them. My goal is not for you to copy me. My goal is for you to learn from me, right? So if you're interested in that, all you have to do click the link down in the bio that says tradernickfx.com, sign up and send me a message, and we'll go ahead and get you moved in. We're doing lots of stuff in the members chat room right now. So with that said, on GBP/JPY, for those of you guys who are looking at this currency pair, we have a level of resistance here on the longer term and on the shorter term as well, okay? We have this level of resistance here that could be of interest, okay? We talked about this earlier in the stream, so I'm just gonna do a recap really quickly. Matthews, we just took a look at Aussie yen, just back up the stream about maybe a minute and a half, and you'll see Aussie yen. So with that said, GBP/JPY, I'm still seeing resistance here. We could find that one to be in play. Okay, nothing yet here on the news here. We're still not seeing anything too big on. Let's just double check. Nothing's still moving here. Let's see if we put the 1 hour. Interesting. We're not seeing too much of a movement yet on anything related to FOMC. Of course, we're going to hang around, see if we get anything delayed, and we'll watch from there. You're welcome, A's. No problem. Landon says, appreciate you. Of course. Glad to be here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, by the way. If you are new to the channel, do me a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button. Come join the family here on YouTube. Even if you don't want anything to do with my VIP service, that's totally fine. I provide plenty of stuff here on YouTube. Of course, my entries and exits go specifically to VIP members. But if you're interested in just learning about the FX market, I've got plenty of stuff here to help. So if that interests you, if that would help you, hit that subscribe button so you can tune into future stuff. Let's look here at Aussie Swiss for Hassan. No problem. Aussie Swiss. And then we're going to take a look. We already looked at Aussie yen and dollar yen. So you guys can go find those currency pair recaps earlier in the stream just by, backing up, rewinding. Okay. Aussie Swiss, guys. Interesting moves here on the Aussie pairs. So we had a move to the upside on a lot of Aussie pairs, and Aussie Swiss was no exception. You can see we broke this level of resistance here on the long-term charts. This was big, okay? We had a break of structure here, and we shot price right up after that, okay? Now, where could this price find some sort of resistance? We want to be looking at maybe this level. This may be an interesting point. We also have this current level that it's currently trading at. We could find shorter-term resistance there. We may be headed longer-term to test this level and maybe even this long-term high here. So we want to be ready for any of that. Ibzan, Euro Yen, we already took a look at. You can back up. Actually, did we take a look at Euro Yen? I can't remember if we did, but I'll recap on it anyways. So Aussie Swiss, we have resistance here. We also have resistance up here as well. So we could see both levels coming into play. Like I said, if we get that move to this side, we could find heavy resistance up there. Okay, so with that said, let's continue on. Let's see if we have any other major ones. Like I said, I'm going to do a quick recap on Euro Yen. Not sure if we did this. Okay, yes, we did do this one. And just simply put here on Euro Yen, we're watching a couple levels here. We have this upward level of trendline resistance, and we also have this lower level of of horizontal support. So we could see price heading down. If we do get a continuation off of this level, we could see price heading down to test this low here. Nick, can you do GBP USD? Hassan, I already did that one. You can go find it earlier in the stream. Thanks, bro. I appreciate your time and knowledge. Of course, I'm glad to be here, and I'm thankful that you guys are spending some time. Forex Guala says, I hit the like and subscribe button. Awesome. Thanks so much. Really does mean a lot to me that you guys are tuning in and spending some time here with me. We're not seeing a lot of movement on the news release, which was interesting, but you never know what you're going to get with news releases. Sometimes you get big stuff, sometimes you get small stuff. Like I said, if we get a move here on the Euro Yen to the further downside, we could see a test of this low where we may actually be able to find some sort of support. Of course, if we get a bullish move, if we get a bullish move, what we could see is a break and a retest on this same pair, okay? So there's the break. If we were to get that, we could see a retest right down to this level of resistance, which may now act as support, where we could find, of course, a move continued off of that level. Does that make sense, guys, on Euro Yen? I want to make sure that we're good there before we move on. Do me a big favor, put Y in the chat for yes or in the chat for no. Does that make sense here on Euro Yen? Koos says, a reliable broker I can use. Do me a huge favor. Koos, send me a message on Telegram. I can give you some advice on that. So send me a message on Telegram or on Instagram. Either way is cool. And I will go ahead and share with you some information. TraderNick135. Send me a message there if you guys have any general questions, but especially about a broker I can help you out there. So with that said, okay, cool. We're good on this. Okay. Okay, cool. Good. We're good on Euro Yen. Let me make sure everybody's good here. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we'll move on. Let's do a recap on gold just because I see a lot of you guys asking about it. XAU, USD. We're going to take a look here on gold. So we're already seeing a little bit of a pullback here off of those highs that we were watching earlier in the stream. So should be interesting to see if we can get up to this point of resistance. I think that if we get up to this point, then we could find some sort of resistance to the downside, right? And I think that we may find ourselves headed back to these lows to join the wedge one more time, okay? So with that said, we've got a move potentially happening up to this. We've already kind of come close, but I think we may be able to just test that upward resistance before falling down to come back to relative support. You can see this line holding very well. One hold here, we have another hold here, another hold here. And so if price comes back, you can see the trend buyers, the people who are buying this pullback, may actually step in and buy it one more time. Of course, if we do get a break, we could see breaking of this level of resistance and pull back before seeing some sort of continuation, right? That's the other trade setup we may see on gold. If we can get a trend break of this resistance here, what we could see is we could see this level hold as short-term resistance, right? There's going to be likely some sellers hanging out there before we get a retest and a breakthrough again, potentially to go higher. Now, the next step from there is if we do get this scenario, if we do get a break like this, we could see ourselves headed up to this level of resistance, okay? That's where we may find big sellers in the market hanging out. And of course, from there, we'll have to reassess and see if we can figure out another trading setup. Guys, let's double check really quick on the USD stuff. Let's drop down to the shorter time frame here on gold just to see if we get any sort of big movements here on the FOMC stuff. It's interesting. We didn't really get a big news release. We didn't get a big movement here with all of that. Okay. Let me just give me a second here. Just going to send out the link to, for some reason, the link got messed up. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so with that said, guys, I just want to take a quick second. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm getting so many messages from you guys on Telegram, and I really do appreciate you reaching out. Just genuine questions are always welcome. If you have questions about trading Forex, if you need advice, if you're looking for a broker, if you're looking for, help with that, I'm happy to help all along the way. So if you have questions, as always, just one more time, I know I put it in here, and you guys are probably getting sick of me, but I want to help people as much as possible. So if you're interested in getting into contact with me, whether it be for VIP service, whether it be for just general questions about trading, you can send me a message at TraderNick135 on Telegram. I'm happy to help out with that. Okay, so we're not seeing a big reaction here off of the FOMC, which is interesting. I don't know, is anybody watching the FOMC? I'm curious if anybody's got it up and they're watching the actual stream. In fact, I'm actually curious if we can find it. FOMC live. I'm just curious if we can see it somewhere. Does anybody know where you can even watch it? For some reason, usually you can find it right off the rip, but I cannot find it. If anybody has a link or something, that'd be super appreciated. USD Swiss, okay, USD CAD. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Let's take a look at dollar Canadian. That's a good one to pull up. Let's look at the daily. Guys, we're headed back to this pivot point yet again here on dollar Canadian. Very possible that we do get some sort of a bullish bounce off of this level. Now, of course, if FOMC data would have come through, if we had some sort of movement, we could see a retest or a push one way or the other. But it should be interesting to see what we get it, you can see we already tested this trend line once. I'm sorry, this horizontal support level once, and we got a bounce off of it. So what we're going to be watching for is if price can close above, maybe it can break this level. That could be a short-term breakout. But we are potentially looking to see if we can get another break off of this structure. And if we do get a bullish bounce, where could we see some potential resistance? Of course, we could see it coming into play right up at this resistance zone that's already held twice, right? A lot of times you'll get that triple top if things held twice. So with that said, USD Canadian, we're currently testing the lows of this range. My bias, remember, is to trade what we see, which is this level of support being strong, where we could find some further buy side action here, right? We also have a trend line in play that we're going to have to watch. You can see, this trend line breaking off of this level. You can see price wick down to it. And just this general area is a good potential retest entry for those of you guys who are pullback traders. You're not going to get any guarantees, of course, but the pullback here could be a good setup. Now, of course, if we also get our fibs in here, maybe a longer term Fibonacci, you can see we're hovering right around the 38.2 level, which has not really been able to close or break, right? We tried to break it before, but sellers tried to come in and sell. Didn't quite work out for them. The buyers have been holding this 38.2 level really, really well, and my bias is to trade alongside who seems to be controlling the market, which tends to be the buyers here, okay? Hopefully that makes sense on dollar Canadian. Do you guys understand that? Are we good to go on USD Canadian? Should we move on from there? Do me a favor, hit Y in the chat or in the chat for yes or no. Just want to make sure we're good before I move on here. Gary says, yes. Is it Jerry or Gary? I just want to make sure I'm saying your name right. Cool. Blake says he's good. Gary says he's good. Awesome. Good stuff. Madi says he's good. USD yen. We already took a look at USD yen, but I don't mind just taking a quick recap, only because we are looking at potential movement here on FOMC data. We're not seeing anything big here happening, guys. Kind of interesting that we didn't get anything. Usually you get some sort of movement, which is interesting that we didn't get anything. But we do see here, I think that bias here is going to be sell pressure because this level of resistance long-term tends to be very strong. And we can take a quick look at GBP USD and Euro USD. We'll take a recap on those two currency pairs. We did take a look earlier, but I don't mind recapping, okay? So with that said, on USD yen here, we have levels of resistance that are tending to hold. So my bias is, of course, to trade alongside where the buyers or sellers are hanging out. Now, where could we see pressure for the buyers to step in? I would say that if we can get a pullback to here, that's a high probability setup for buyers to take some action. Potentially could find some support there. Does that make sense on USD yen? I think that we could see further sell side action here. Or we may see a retest of this trend line, but there's heavy resistance there. Does that make sense there on USD yen? I appreciate you taking your time in your day to help us. This is awesome. Of course, I'm glad to be here, and I'm really appreciating you guys spending some time with me as well. Yukeen says, hi, Trader Nick. Is GBP USD a sell signal because of resistance rejection? Let's take a look at GBP USD. We're going to take a quick look at Euro USD just to recap, and then we'll go to GBP USD. Guys says, you guys say you're good on this currency pair. Cool. Let's move on. Hi, Paul. Euro USD, we're going to take a look at right now, actually. Perfect timing. So just to recap on Euro USD, I'm not going to spend too much time because we did take a look at it already. Thank you guys, by the way, for tuning in. If this is your first time to the stream, do me a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button on the channel. Let's get this channel a little bit bigger. Always welcome to new members who are joining the stream for the first time. Glad to have you with me here on the charts. I do streams like this and educational content all the time. So if you would benefit from seeing more of this, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel and maybe like the video as well. That helps me recognize what's good versus what's not as good. When things get a lot more likes, I pay attention to them so that I can, try and format my streams more like that one. Hey, Howard, we already took a look at Euro Aussie. If you want to back up, you could go find that. It's somewhere back in the stream. So with that said, let's quickly do our analysis here on Euro USD. We already did it, but I want to recap on what we said. We have this long-term trend sell resistance here that if price gets up to, I think we may see some sort of seller pressure come into the market. Gary says, GBP New Zealand, we're going to get to that one. Don't worry. I'm sorry I missed that one. Okay, with that said, if we do get a pullback up to that point, I think there may be seller resistance up there. And same on the buyer side, I think buyers have shown some strength here. And if we can get a pullback to this level, we may actually find some sort of support where we could find buyers push price up. Okay, that's what we see on Euro USD. Okay, sorry about that, Howard. I would do it, but I'm getting a request for the same ones a lot of times, so I don't want to keep going back for those of you guys who are tuned in. Let's do GBP USD, and then the next one is GBP New Zealand. We already kind of covered GBP USD, but we went really quick. Let me talk about this currency pair right here. We have levels of resistance in play, and we also have a horizontal support. What we may see, I think, on GBP USD is a breakout trade setup, okay? If we get a break to the upside, we could trade the retest and go long, and very simply, same on the sell side. If we get a break of that structure, a retest may be a great opportunity to sell into and go into. XAU USD, we already took a look at, so all you have to do so to find that is to scroll back in the video. You can go find where we did XAU USD. Okay, with that said, that is basically all I see on GBP USD. I don't like to make it complicated. If price breaks out one way or the other, we could trade the retest breakout, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. On GBP USD, the 1 hour, sure, we'll do that really quick. So yeah, you see we're coming into trend line resistance here longer term. You can see it doesn't look as clean on this chart, but we also have this level, right? A double resistance, right? We have two major resistance lines confluing. We also have a resistance point right here. So we could see, like I said, that's probably a high probability. You see when price came into that level, that was a clear sell. Multiple things lining up for a sell trade there. And sure enough, price rolled over right away from that point. Hopefully that makes sense on GBP USD. I'm going to go ahead and move on to GBP New Zealand. Gary has been really patient on this one, so sorry about that. GBP New Zealand. Look at this chart, guys. Look at the 1 hour. You guys already know what I'm going to say for those of you guys who are active members or VIP members or just even watchers of my channel. We trade sideways markets quite often, and this is a very choppy, very sideways market where we could buy low and sell high. Very high probability setups here, right? This being our level of resistance. Whoops. And this being our level of support, right? So we don't need to make things complicated. We just need to trade what we see, and I like to trade consolidation if I see it, right? On the 1 hour chart here, we have back and forth motion. This is a great opportunity, in my opinion, to find buys and sells until this changes. If this market structure changes, then we trade differently. But for the time being, we trade what we see, which is consolidation. So with that said, buy support may be down here and sell support may be up here. Keep it simple, manage your risk, manage your emotions, and you could probably trade this pretty well. Hopefully that helps, Gary. If you have any further questions, of course, send me a message privately. I'm happy to help you out with that. Okay, with that said, let's see what we have here, okay? Let's do a quick analysis. We already did Euro odd. Let's make sure that we're not missing anything major here. Okay, cool. And we also already did USD JPY. We've done almost every currency pair, guys. So I'm probably going to wrap this up. We didn't get much of a move here, but not to worry, guys. There's still some really good levels that we talked about in this stream. So if you missed part of it, no worries at all. You can go back. You can watch some of it. It will also be uploaded to YouTube shortly after this stream goes down. You'll get access to watching the recap video here on YouTube. Guys, I also just posted a free playlist, on my YouTube channel for new Forex traders looking to learn how to trade. I have a free course coming up on YouTube that I'm publishing over the course of this week. Imbalani says New Zealand dollar. We already took a look at that. We looked at that pretty early on in the stream. Can I talk about FOMC? Bashoy says, well, okay, put it this way. We did not really get a big move off of FOMC. However, just so you know what it is, in case you don't know, it's basically just a meeting where a lot of times they talk about interest rates, specifically the American banking system talks about interest rates, which can cause a lot of volatility in the currency market. Now, if we look at USD Canadian, you can see we did not really get much of a move here on FOMC, which is crazy because usually right around the time of the talk, we don't get a huge thing. Why is it very volatile? Good question, market raiders. Okay, so the reason that FOMC is extremely volatile usually, maybe not today, but usually, is because when you get interest rates changing in the currency market, that is a huge deal on where investors place their money, okay? Because if one country's currency pays a lot more interest, then if that changes, then investors may leave that currency. They may take their money out of that currency and move it somewhere else, okay? So any sort of change in currency interest rates can be extremely bullish or bearish for the currency pair and can drastically change the value of the currency pair very quickly, okay? So that means investors are confused. Well, during the initial volatility, it's actually a very small movement compared to the long-term effects of interest rate decisions, right? A lot of investors are in here for years, so they're trading long-term charts. So this volatility is actually very small compared to what they're doing. But with that said, usually it does cause huge spikes if something is said that may allude to price moving, one way or the other, or interest rates, changing. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense there. You can also do a quick Google search on what it actually means. There's also Forex Factor. You can read this, the FOMC meeting. It's basically a detailed report of FOMC's most recent meeting, providing in-depth insights into the economic and financial conditions that influence their vote on where to set interest rates. Okay, so interest rates are the bottom line. And we did not really get a big move here on any of the USD currency pairs, which is crazy, but it happens. So do you only trade using trendline and support and resistance? I also use an RSI a lot of times. I also trade primarily price. So I stick to the basics. I don't believe in making your chart super complicated. A lot of times people have rainbows on their charts. They have oscillators and moving averages and everything. I use a moving average. I use maybe an RSI sometimes, but mostly I use price and I use risk management. Guys, before I end the stream, since we didn't really get anything, we've been here for an hour. I don't want to drag this on too long. If you are new to the stream, like I said, do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button, help to grow the channel here on YouTube. And also, if you're interested in trading alongside me, of course, like I mentioned, you can send me a message on Telegram or Instagram at Trader Nick. You can join the VIP membership group, which gives you the chance to follow my trading signals live. It gives you the educational content. You'll learn the methods that I use to trade with, all of that good stuff. It's very easy and very affordable if you're interested in joining the team. You can click the link down below in the description, tradernickfx.com. Go to the website and sign up, and I'll help you out into the membership, and we'll have you join the team. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the stream. Happy to have you guys here with me. Had a great turnout. I'm sorry the market didn't really create a big move or anything, but we did do some great analysis that I believe will help you all over the charts, and hopefully you get something out of it. Guys, like I said, subscribe if you're new so that you can get access to future streams. I really do appreciate you being here with me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. As always, VIP members, I will be uploading and answering questions and stuff in the VIP group. We'll also be doing some analysis and potential day trading opportunities as well as the swing trading signals coming out in a few hours here. I will update members. Okay, so thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.